And we are back with the City Pigeons Podcast. Welcome back, gentlemen. How are we?
Excellent.
Pretty good.
Doing well?
Yeah, I'm doing all right.
Fink, you doing well, buddy?
I'm doing
excited
great.
for today's
Feeling
guest.
great.
Are you excited about today's
very
guest?
excited.
Hell yeah.
Because let me tell you, I've been talking to this guy for a long time. He's real hard to pin down because he's an international man of mystery. But we pinned him. Actually, he hit me up when he came back to Philly and was like, yo, I'm in town. We had to make it happen. Here we are with the man, Jimmy Gorecki. What's up, Jimmy?
How are you guys?
Yo,
Thank you so much for having me. I
Hey.
appreciate it. Thank you,
Thanks,
baby.
bro.
Thank you, Rock Fink.
Hey, Fink in the Fink tank. Now, Jimmy, we talked to you a little bit about the Fink tank, but I want to give you a little
The Fink
background.
tank.
Yeah, it's the
Yes.
Fink tank.
Yeah, I love it.
So it's an intricate play on
That's
words,
awesome.
which I'm glad you like. Okay, so when we first started bringing Fink into the mix, you know, we had him off to the side. He's kind of like our digital coordinator, producer. If you need him to pull anything up on the internet, Fink, are you ready, willing, and able?
Yes, sir. That's
Okay,
what I'm here
yeah.
for.
Yeah, we
Beautiful.
usually have a
Ready to
screen
work.
where you could see what he's pulling up, so he's got to visualize it in your head. Just be like, because we'll edit it in.
Yeah.
All right.
Where we
Some background on Fink. His father owns Fink's Hoagies in Tacony,
Oh,
in the
yeah,
Northeast,
yeah,
which is
damn.
If you ever need hoagies, I
Yeah,
got
I need
you.
that
I
too.
got
Yeah,
you.
yep.
No,
Yeah.
real talk though, we got to get Jimmy some of those hoagies. He's got to try these.
That would be
hoagies.
amazing.
Yeah, what's up with the
No.
hoagie scene out
Tailgate
in
tomorrow.
LA?
Tailgate tomorrow.
The hoagie
do
scene
that.
in LA. This is gonna sound crazy. There's one place in Pasadena. It's called Roma Deli. There's a little 100-year-old Italian guy in there. All the meats, all the cheeses that you need, stuffed peppers, but they make one fucking sandwich. You don't have an option what goes
It's just
on. That's it. You come
It's
in
just the Italian.
and you get the sandwich and he tells you to beat it.
He's like the
You
soup
got to
Nazi.
put your own toppings on it and stuff. But it's worth it for everything else. There's another place on the west side called Bay Cities. They've got a great sandwich called the Godmother, but it's like
Godmother.
it's like this hard ciabatta bread though, and it's kind of messy.
Yeah, it's hard to get a good roll.
Man, yeah.
Yeah, isn't that the problem why there's not hoagies everywhere? 'Cause you can't get
Something
the
in the water or something.
Something in the
It's
water,
hard
yeah.
water
Yeah.
in
You know what it is?
Philadelphia.
It's actually the,
Or the-
toxic water, the extra chemicals that lead to the bread. Then we learned
The
that.
one place though that's our go-to is called Eastside Deli. It's right by Dodger Stadium. It's been there since 1929. The second family owns it now, but their bread is probably the closest you'll get to like a solid hoagie roll.
Yeah, I don't want to get too deep into this, but a couple of my buddies moved to Arizona to open up a cheesesteak shop after high school, and they went to a bakery that actually had a hard water tank that would try and convert their regular tap water
into the Schuylkill punch.
It didn't work, but
No,
it made
that's
the rolls
every
better
time
than-
you'll go to a pizza shop. And it's quite often New Yorkers, they'll say, "Oh, we shipped the water out here." I'm like, "No, you didn't. You didn't ship me fucking water out here." Yeah, okay. Well, you ran a pipe all the way through.
to ship bread. They
Yeah.
used to try and get Amorosos, which
Okay.
is another Jimmy collab.
To your point, I don't want to go too far down the rabbit hole, but I was in Key Largo a couple weeks ago, right? I'm in a bar, and they were serving a cheesesteak.
We're
and it
down the
said-
rabbit hole,
wait,
buddy.
but it said Amoroso's roll on it.
Damn.
They were bringing the rolls. They're like, it's not that hard. I
Well,
was like, really?
it's expensive to ship them out because they were doing that in the beginning and had to stop.
Yeah,
All right,
no,
well,
that's not sustainable.
I bet we will come back to hoagies, so I'm not going to make any promises.
Hell
but,
yeah.
Hell yeah, Fink.
Well,
Come back to
Jimmy
the
had
hoagies.
a collab with Amorosos.
That's
with
right.
Standard issue. So that's what I'm.
We're right on
all
target.
comes
There you
back
go.
This is beautiful. Way to bring it back, dude. I really appreciate that, Meech. All right, so Jimmy,
Yep.
let's introduce you to the City Pigeons audience. I'm
Okay.
sure there's a lot of people who are familiar with who you are because you do rep Philly hard, especially when it comes to our sports teams. But the kind of origin of your story is obviously here in Philadelphia. You grew up in Norristown,
Grew
right?
up in Norristown, yeah. My mom, so between my dad's family, they're all Polish. They're from Chester. My mom's family is between Coatesville, the Northeast, and South Philly. Right where Bonbons is in South Philly on 10th and Jackson.
Yep.
They used to have, that's my mom's family used to have a restaurant called Priorities there. This is dating back to like 60s and 70s. But as a kid, my mom, she would bring us school shopping down here, bring us to Market Street. Like, I remember she bought me my first Eazy-E tape. The guy was like, "You sure?" I was like 10. She's like, they're like, "You sure you want to buy this for?" It's like, but my parents and my older sisters were like super hip, so.
That happened to me with
Nice.
Cypress Hill. Cypress Hill was my
hell
first
yeah,
one.
yeah,
So,
yep. Remember
your
the
first-
vest?
Puffing on a blunt.
Yeah.
Great, let's go.
But that was that was really my introduction to Philly, and then obviously we come from like a really rich basketball community. Kobe lived 2 towns over from us. My sisters both played ball. my mom was a big high school basketball enthusiast, so she, you know, whether it's taking us to like public league games, the Palestra, you know, she would drag me around, man. She just loved like boys and girls high school hoops. So
Did you ball yourself?
I didn't know, man. I just, you know, there was a lot of good hoopers in my neighborhood. One of my closest friends went to St. Bonaventures. He's got the picture of the biggest, longest shorts ever.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Green.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he was a Italian star. But no, I wish, man. I mean, in my head, I'm a lot better than I actually am. So.
But you're a fan. You're a fan.
Yeah, for sure.
Grew up in Norristown,
Yep.
deep Philly roots.
Yep.
Now you're living in LA. I do want to get into the, you know, your evolution. Go ahead.
But you, God damn it, Jesse, you. No, when I tripped out, when Brian goes, I want to introduce you to Jesse Rendell. And, you know, what got me really enamored with the city of Philadelphia was Love Park. And when I was a kid, obviously the only thing you had was any printed media that might be covering skating at Love. And, you know, I'm little, so I'm like trying to figure out what's going on down here and find more information about it. And, you know, you hear it's illegal, it's not illegal. And I remember getting a Inquirer article that I believe you were photographed in, and a lot of people, there was a large contingency of people, at least that I was led to believe, that you were a major player in helping to keep it from getting banned back in the day.
You know,
Is
okay.
that a true story?
So there are, you know, it's funny.
Even if it's not, I'm going to tell. I'm going to still hold on to
let's
that.
just
go with it. Just go with it.
Yeah.
But ultimately it didn't work. So, you know, but anyway, point is this. I've heard versions of that from people.
Yeah.
And what I remember is just, you know, my dad talking to me about the fact that it was kind of an issue and like what to do. And I don't remember the exact timing on like FDR. Like I kind of remember him saying like, all right, well, like we'll make sure there's a place.
Yeah.
And like, but I don't want to be credited or claim to be credited with
Just
anything.
take credit, dude.
I know. No.
Nah, I don't
that
take
was
the
me.
credit.
Well,
So
I mean, look,
Jesse was a
look,
big component of the saving
That
Love
was me.
Park.
That was it.
I'll
Yeah.
tell you
Exactly
this.
how it
Here's the
went
one
down.
thing that I will tell all you guys. I was like, I do not want to be, and I skated, you know,
Yeah.
like to an extent. Like I skated a lot, not very well, but I was into it and I was into all the culture. I went down to Spikes. My dad got me a Tony Alva back in the day. Like I was so into all that. I did not want to be the son of the politician that, you know, closed Love Park to skateboarders. You know, I think my dad could feel that and kind of felt bad.
Yeah.
You know. But yeah, that's kind of what I remember. I'll tell you, my one recollection that will stick with me forever is getting on the regional rail. I grew up in East Falls, so not far. Just got on the regional rail, went to Suburban Station. Me and my buddy, we probably like 13, 14, you know, and we went to Love Park and we were like skating a little bit, and I was like, I don't know, man. I don't know about this. I don't know if this is for us. You know what I mean? Because I was like, we could barely skate. And I was like, it's real out here.
No, that's the thing. It was like it was pretty raw back then, man. Like you would hear horror stories. I have friends that survived like some pretty gnarly shit. Like it was like Lord of the fucking Flies there, man. Like these kids really like made the rules. And you know, I remember seeing a kid from Norristown that ripped, man. He was so good. And I seen him. We didn't come to Love that same day together, but I seen him pull up, and I was like, "Oh shit, there's Gary. He's good, man."
Was there a big like skate scene out in Norristown?
There really wasn't. There was like a handful of kids. The majority of them were older than me, but luckily they were all really good. But they would come down here, so and as I say, so I'm there one Saturday, little. I had to be 15, 14, 15, and I remember seeing homie come in. And then he just got hammered. Like he hit the main ledge, and then he just didn't even see it. And I remember people were like cheering, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is insane, yo!" Like
My introduction to like skateboarding was like back when I was in college, I befriended like a kid who was like big in the skateboarding scene, or he wasn't big, but he was just, you know, hanging around a bunch of skaters and.
Who?
Our boy Macias.
Yeah, you know,
Jason Macias?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Oh, you
Jason's
know-
the man.
you know
Yeah,
Jason?
hell yeah.
Yeah, that's my homie.
Yeah, he used to have the skate shop in West Philly.
Yeah, Slaves over there with the twins.
Yeah.
Small world. But
When I was out like a broke skater, I would take my boards to him, and Jay would buy them off me $25 a piece, and it was like, you know, was getting them from the company, so if I needed
Oh, no
$100
shit,
to
yeah.
take him 4 boards.
Shout out to Jay. His mom just
Macias
passed
is
away,
the
man.
Ah, man, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Jay. Yeah, he's a good dude.
But anyway, I befriended him in college. We went to the same school, and like I remember the first time we went to go hang out, we hung out in this kid's house, I remember he was like some crazy ass skater. He was from Norristown. He passed
JR.
away.
JR. That was one of my
Yeah.
closest childhood friends, man. Yeah, he passed in 08.
Yeah.
But he was like a legend to all of us, man.
Okay.
He just, someone that he was from like Lansdale area, but he was like a superstar, man, from when we were kids, you know. But,
Yeah, I was wondering about that. I was like, I remember you from Norristown. I was like,
Messiahs, yep. All of that whole West Philly crew, Kaz and Brax, all those guys. So.
Yeah, so we probably crossed paths back in the day. Just didn't even
absolutely,
realize
yeah,
it.
yep.
Well, it's funny. I met Tony Montgomery in Ocean City because I used to. I grew up surfing down there, and like we had all these mutual friends. So I knew Tony and Omar.
I just saw Omar today.
Yeah.
Jared, driving down the street. Remember, we pulled over that skater. That was Omar. He didn't hear me. He had his headphones in. But Tony, I would like pray that my mom would want to go to Ocean City, New Jersey for vacation, just so I could watch Tony skate, because that's how good he was. It was like he was like the only, it was him and this other kid Alex. I think they were like the only skaters in Ocean City, and they ripped, dude. They were so good.
It's crazy. Small world. Yeah, I used to run with them kids back in the college days.
Hey,
What year did you graduate?
I graduated a little later than I should, but
because he hung out with the
Me
West
too.
Philly crew.
Me too. Yeah.
He went to be a
I
doctor.
graduated in 04. I lived in, I don't know if we had a big house on Osage Ave. We would throw parties. Like, there was a bunch of people that
who
would
here
come
graduated
through.
college in 4 years?
Nah,
Anybody?
not me.
I
Nah.
didn't graduate.
There you go.
But yeah, I
All right,
graduated
keep
in
it real.
04, so I was in college.
So you finished before me. I started in 2000 and didn't finish till 2006.
So we were on that same program
yeah,
now, same
yeah.
program.
All right, so for those who don't know, Love Park was a huge part of the evolution of skateboarding and became a cultural destination for skateboarding throughout the entire world. I think most people who live in Philly are familiar with the fact that it became a real, point of contention for the city government and skaters and all that. And Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, the whole thing.
Yep.
But Jimmy has gone on to do many things beyond skateboarding, and I was trying to figure out like what to call you, man. I kind of want to call you like a maker, man. Is that like? Have
I'll
you
take
heard that?
that.
term?
Yeah, I'll
Like
take that
term?
one. That's pretty cool.
You kind of
Yeah,
went from
yeah.
like a skater to a maker, right?
Yeah.
Like somebody who's like, I know you've got a couple different.
How about an artist?
An artist, whatever.
I like Maker though because I think for skateboarding it teaches you how to be very resourceful, and due to that, I think every single opportunity or I don't know project I might work on, I kind of go into it. I go into everything as if I have nothing to work with and got to figure out in my mind what can I pull together to make this thing a reality and to make it work.
And by the way, like
know,
I know you also have your podcast.
I like Maker.
Well, it's like it's kind of like a creative entrepreneur
Yeah.
term, right? But like you have your podcast now, and like I look at this, like that's being a maker too, just making shit happen. It's not as much like making clothes, but it's people who want to do stuff,
Just
and just make
hustling,
shit happen.
hustling.
Yeah.
People who come into fine establishments like the Federal Donuts here on 6th and South and set up all these microphones and have Jimmy Gorecki and film a wonderful podcast. And I have to say, we haven't, I don't think, acknowledged the fact that we were
definitely
here.
did not.
We just totally steamrolled right into
We
this.
just figured you'd
Figured it out.
in the bag. Yeah.
Figured it out. Like, okay.
Shout out to Tom for letting us come into his place when it closed and
Tom is the OG. We
eat
all know
chicken
that.
sandwiches.
The
and
first
donuts
location is the one in Old City? Gotcha, all right. Because I was saying, I moved in 08, and I remember when people first started talking about it. And that was kind of like the beginning of Instagram. And I would see people post something with those shitty filters that Instagram gave us. Everyone thought they were a video photography editor all of a sudden. And I was like, what the fuck is Federal Donuts? Can I cuss on here?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And I was like, what is Federal Donuts? Is this like, is it the government? Who's involved with this?
Government donuts, they're tricking
It's a
but
bunch of cops.
Have these
and then I
donuts.
heard about the chicken sandwich, and then I'm seeing it, and then I see like Jameer skates for them and stuff. So I'm like, this Federal Donuts has set up shop.
No, shout out to
quite
Tom,
well.
Federal Donuts. And it's funny, when you hit me up, I was like, all right, where are we going to do this? And Tom was like, Federal Donuts on South Street. And we talked about doing an episode out of Federal Donuts, which we've never actually done. And then after we like agreed to do it, I was like, whoa, this is perfect, because I think South Street has a special place in your heart. Did you
Dude.
have a store?
Dude,
right around the corner?
I used to live with my friend Mark on 11th and South. I spent years of my life at the skate shop at Nocturnal, which used to be the Woo Wear store, which was around the corner
shit,
from
the
the
Woo
Black
Wear
Rock
store.
which was the Rockaware store.
Right.
The the Nigerian guy that used to have the linen store called Floss, first line of successful style.
Okay. I like that.
That's
You know,
quite an
like,
acronym.
I mean, yeah, hell yeah,
yeah.
Mesquite.
Yeah.
Dude, I still talk to those guys, man. They actually made me a sweatsuit recently, and I was like, this is insane. Like, I gave them a standard issue sweatsuit, and they gave me it back with the original Mesquite painting, and I posted it, and people were losing it. Like, yo, I used to buy Mesquite in
huge.
Ohio,
Yeah.
or like, you know, like, yeah, yep.
Remember
So-
Funkadelphia? Do you remember it? They had one on Bainbridge and one on Frankfurt.
Philadelphia. I don't think I went
It
there.
was like a graffiti, but they sold a graffiti store. You can get fat caps, you can get
Yeah.
records there, you can get what was that, con art clothing?
Yeah,
remember?
yeah.
And that was when Echo first came out, when it
Yeah.
was still ECHO
Yep.
before he got sued.
This place has a lot of history,
I met
man.
Yeah, man.
Fat Lip at
Wait,
Funkadelphia
didn't you have a-
before
did
a
you have a
Farside
store?
concert.
I worked at a store right around the
What was it
corner.
called?
It was called Official.
Right. Okay.
The you want to hear the craziest official story was these two guys come in one time, and I'm for sure my BlackBerry's plugged in, and I turn my back and it's gone, and I say to my buddy that's working, I'm like, yo, I'm pretty sure that guy just stole my fucking phone, man. And he's like, nah, you're tripping, Jimmy. So I step outside, and my buddy worked at the Gap right next door. And he comes outside. He's like, Jimmy, did you see two guys come in your store? I'm like, yeah, wow, I think one's got my phone. He's like, yo, we just caught him stealing in the Gap. So I look across the street where there's that where that bank was at between Third and 4th right there, with the little side street, has the bar.
Yeah.
And I see the guy in the back scrolling on my fucking BlackBerry, like this, in the back seat. And I hate confrontation. I hate violence. And I got overwhelmed, man. And I went around the back seat, or around the trunk, and I just threw a haymaker like I'd never thrown before. Connected, grabbed my phone, and the guy grabs my arm. The driver punches the gas.
Oh, shit.
And I'm running with him. I got a brand new pair of Flint 7s on, and they're dragging. And the guy's locked onto my arm. And I'm like, yo, why wouldn't you just fucking let go and take off? And he pulls down South Street. I'm like, why would you do that? So by the time we get to the corner of 4th and South, right out front of Jim's, there's like 50 cops waiting. And I'm super hyped because I'm like, dude, this guy tried to kill me over stealing my cell phone. And then they're trying to, I think initially they thought maybe I was the culprit.
Right, yeah.
And then they're like, yeah, we need to go over to, 10th and Catherine to the station over there. And I'm like, dude, no, I don't. Like, I got my phone, I'm good.
Yeah.
And the cops were trying to come to my house to, like, I don't know if these guys were like, they wanted something, sign a statement on them. And I was like, dude,
So this dude
no,
dragged you a block and a half
Yeah,
for a
for
BlackBerry.
Instead of just giving your phone back.
Right.
Yeah, and I was like, dude, I'll never forget that. Yeah.
That's crazy.
That would definitely.
Other than that time I passed out in the TLA at a Method Man concert. Second craziest South Street story, right?
Hey, I think that's happened to everybody.
Yeah.
You're good. You're good. So I just on South Street real quick. I remember like, late 90s. It was like the coolest place you could possibly. The Tower Records, right?
Yep, Tower Records.
I remember
yeah.
going in there with my cousin. This is the most random thing. I bought. He was real into like Iron Maiden.
Yeah,
I was trying to be like him, and I bought a Rat cassette tape. Rat. The band was
Damn.
called Rat.
R-A-T-T.
R-A-T-T. I don't know. That's just what I did. But then later, so I ended up leaving school. I was in a punk band and toured a little bit. Not very punk for anyone who's watching this. I'm sure that's hard to imagine. But we ended up doing this deal with this indie label that had a deal with Tower Records. Long story short, we played it in store at the Tower Records with they blew up our album cover behind us.
Sick.
I was
That's legendary.
I was like, yo, I'm good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, this is good. And that was back in the heyday. And South Street obviously has had some.
Remember, you could go in there and
times.
put the headphones on and
Oh, yeah.
listen to the
Yeah.
music.
Yeah.
That was dope.
That was dope, man.
Sometimes I think my mind just made that up. I'm like,
No.
that's what we were
That place
doing.
was giant, man.
Yeah,
3
go
floors,
straight
right?
to the basement and
Yeah.
flip through the 12-inch vinyl.
Yeah.
The rap
There's
vinyl
so
in the
much,
basement.
Spike Skates, that was before my time, but Sub-Zero.
Right.
I mean, you had so much from the hardcore to the punk shit to the Dr. Denims and City Blues
Zipperhead.
and Zipperheads. Yeah, there's
A lot of erotic
There's so much history.
clothing.
My girl, when she comes into town, she'll go shop at all those fucking stores.
Right.
She, because she'll use them for shows and stuff. But she loves it, man. She'll run the whole gauntlet of fucking sexy lingerie, fucking licorice shit. I'm like, all right, cool. Yeah.
All right.
Hey, that's not. That's to me.
Licorice lingerie, huh?
Yeah, it's
all right,
nutty.
All right. What else you got tonight?
Oh man, so yeah, South Street. I'm glad we're here. This is a great location
Yeah.
to do this, and I appreciate you coming on. I think you probably know now, right? You've been in the podcast game a little bit. When you get somebody to agree to come on,
It's
and they come
hard,
on,
man.
but it means so much.
Yeah,
when
hell
they do
yeah.
it. So that's why anybody that I hit up, that's like, yeah, dude, I'll do it. I'm just like, man, you don't understand like how much that means. So I
Yeah.
appreciate you coming on and been checking out your podcast. It's
Thank you so
awesome.
much.
And you just keep rocking and rolling, man.
It's
Yeah.
that sending that like you think you can come on for this episode text is like the hardest thing. You're like, I know you got a business and kids and
Right.
It
like,
really is.
I need you
Yeah,
to
I-
sit down and talk to me about shit that we probably have already talked about before. And
I was
like-
listening
I'm
today
like,
for the first time, and I was
Just
like,
send it.
Jeff sends out some homework every now and then. He's like, listen to this, and I'm like, all right. So he sent the episode. It was like you and your wife.
Gotcha. That was a
So
good
I
one.
listened to that, and I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. I'm gonna listen to a couple more while I'm sitting here plugging away at work, and I like, oh, he's got P-Rod on, so I'm listening to the P-Rod. So like, how was that getting him on there?
Oh,
Was it the
man.
same kind of like
Man, Paul
situation? Like,
Rodriguez. Paul, I hope you're listening. He is the greatest human ever, man. He has a heart of gold. He's just a really, really, like, beautiful person, man. And like, getting him to come sit down was like, oh yeah, no problem, Jimmy, whenever you need. And he's one of those. He's so humble, and even the stuff that we were talking about, like his Nike skateboarding
Yeah.
deals and stuff, like, like he I don't know. He's not very like he's great at promotion, but he's not like a self promoter type.
Mm-hmm.
So like to even tap in with that type of stuff, he was like psyched to rap about. He's like, damn, you remembered that I was the first skater with the Jumpman logo.
Right,
I
yeah.
was like, dude, that was iconic when that happened, man.
Remember his "It Was a Good Day" Nike SB
Yeah,
commercial?
dude, we were talking
Man,
yeah, they were
about
talking
all
about that
that.
on
That
the
was like-
that
podcast.
was like
Yeah.
the coolest commercial ever.
Yeah.
And Paul was like the changing of the guard for Nike SB because they built the skateboard program on this group of like vets and pioneers. But when they brought Paul on, it was like, all right, now we're for real.
Yeah.
And he was the guy. So I mean, still is.
That's when the SBs. I mean, SBs are big now, but that's when they were like super hard to
Huge,
get.
dude, yeah.
Yeah. You had that story about that dude that flowed you a pair of Supreme dunks.
Nocturnal, I would get them all
Yeah.
for $35, and then I remember the day I just was like probably short on some cash, and I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna put these up here and sell them used. And I'm like, why did I do that, man? I had every single one that came in. They're like, here, Jimmy, here's your $35. I'll take them. Heineken's, Future.
Yeah, you had all of them.
So I found this as I thought about, things we could talk about. It's very interesting to me. You grew up in skateboarding, and when I was growing up, I was super into skateboarding, but got more into like surfing, snowboarding. But like the whole like sneaker culture there was all wrapped up.
Yep.
Those companies were selling to. You guys were talking a little bit about Magic, so the trade
Yeah,
shows, it was
yep.
all like that. So I remember I had a pair of DCs, one of the original Rob Dyrdek, like very basic, and I just was like so into that. These guys, and by the way, prior to that, when I was real young, did the Jordans and the Reebok pumps and all the stuff little kids wanted. But then these guys are super sneakerheads, have been for a super long time. But to see like your evolution, I won't say evolution, but you've been on like every side of that, right? Like you were deep in like the skate sneaker game,
Yeah.
and then like the whole Pharrell thing,
Yeah.
and then like I see that you obviously have a sense for the wider like sneaker game, and you're one of the people. I don't know, by the way, like how many people skated in Jordans, you know what I mean? But obviously I've seen you doing that, and like
Well, that was like Lance Mountain used to skate in Jordan.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that was an original.
History like for whatever reason it like doesn't fully acknowledge how in the late 80s like that every old pro I talked to was like they were like that was their go-to skate
Yeah.
shoe was a Jordan 1.
Because they used to get them on clearance.
Yeah.
They'd be on clearance.
Yeah.
when there wasn't any options,
Yeah.
right? There's no such thing as a skate. Well, when Airwalk. Kind
There's
of
And the Dunk Highs, I guess, right?
Yeah. But there's an ill photo of Chuck Treese in a pair of, I want to say it is, God, I want to say it's a pair of the black and blue Jordan 1. That could be wrong, though. There's a big-ass Lancaster Ave sign in the background. He's doing like an 80s like street plant, like in a pair of Jordan 1. They're like, dude, how's Nike not like
Right.
got the photo rights to these
Right,
and
yeah.
use these photos? Because these are the origins of it all, but...
And you know who else not to stray, but old rockers used to wear Jordan 1s. Like
they
Megadeth.
yeah.
Dave Mustaine.
Yeah.
Mustaine was that? Is
Yeah,
that
I don't know. I'm not a Megadeth fan, dude.
I don't know why I looked at
You're
you
looking
when
at
I'm
me
asking
like-
a Megadeth question.
Rocky,
But like all
you
those
don't like
old
Megadeth,
rock
bro?
Metallica, they used to
Nah.
all wear Jordan 1s on stage. I guess because they were comfortable and
That's a
padded.
trip, yeah.
Damn.
But Ubik, when there was a point where I wasn't making any money skating, and I was like, I just need some fucking cash to eat or something. And Ubik had just opened, and my friend goes, yeah, there's this crazy bright sneaker store that just opened in the gallery, and I got it. They stuck me in the stock room, and that was just like the light bulb went off because they were getting all this shit from Japan. I saw like big, like I would see Jason Dill come down from New York to go shop there, and I'd be like, what business does Jason Dill have in the gallery? You know, and it was like here they had the dunks and stuff that they were stocking. You know, was like next level shit, man. So it was like shit that like maybe Union might have been doing in New York at the time. It was like this store in Philly was doing it. So, and I knew all the sneakerheads from Philly, all the, you know, South Street Polo guys and stuff. Like I didn't know them in person, but I knew who they were, and like they'd come in there. So I'd be like, oh yeah, this place is official.
So you worked at the Ubik in the gallery, okay?
Yeah, yep. And
When did that store? Like, what time? What were we
That was
talking
back in the day, dude. I don't know.
2000.
It's now Atmos on Walnut.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it was 2001 to 2003.
But they had the Walnut store and
In the
gallery store.
for a
But it
little
was
bit.
first the gallery,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
then
yeah,
they,
yeah.
and then
And
they
then they
opened
got-
that one.
Because my dad has had an office over at the Bellevue forever, and I started working there in like 2011, working out of there. So I would always go into Ubik, and that's like the only place that I even knew to go. Like I didn't know what I was doing, and I wasn't even, by the way, had no idea. I'd see people stand in line, had no idea what they were doing. I just would walk in there and be like, oh, like, damn, those SBs are kind of cool. Like I had no idea what was going on, but they always had, you know.
Now
I used
Jess
to come
is-
down here though to go to Sub-Zero, you know, and get. Well, Sub-Zero was on this side, right?
It was on that side. Yep.
Yeah, I used to always love coming there, you know, get the DCs and whatever else they had. But it's interesting to me, you know, skateboarding is very, I don't want to say provincial, right? But like the idea that like you would be into like basketball shoes or like non-skate shoes, but then it's kind of seemed to go like in and out. Like, what's your view on that? Like, as you kind of saw that whole thing.
You know, because a lot of the companies that we grew up watching, Menace, you know, there were a lot of brands, and you know, a company I skated for, Aesthetics. It was all very hip hop driven.
Right.
You know, these guys were skating in Polo and Ralph Lauren, and so like, wait a minute, there's a whole, you know, there definitely as a kid, there was a point where I was like, damn, I can't even like, you know, I'm like trying to learn about like Henry Rollins and Black Flag because I'm seeing this in Thrasher, and I'm like, oh, this is, I need to get Doc Martens apparently, you know, and I'm like, you know, and I'm like, oh shit, there's actually like a community of skaters that are into the same shit that we're into here. And it's like, you know, I like all the, you know, I liked grunge and all this shit. I had friends that was their thing, but like, this ain't really who I am, and you know, so eventually all of it really started to integrate with the skate community, from the styles and the fashions. Skate brands were starting to design shoes that looked like Air Maxes, DC,
Right.
you know, or Air Forces. The clothing that they were designing it looked like some Eddie Bauer or something, you know. So I was like, okay, bet our styles have arrived in skating and stuff.
And I gotta imagine, safe to say, that part of it seemed to always, and for me, my experience, right, I got very into surfing. So I was down in Ocean City, which is how I met Tony. My parents had a house down there, and I got into surfing, and I ended up getting sponsored by a shop, and I was all into it. And so I just was like immersed in like every pro, what they're wearing, who they're sponsored, you know. So I know kind of what that's like. But for you, obviously your path, I can only assume that whole time, it was just a cultural thing, right? It's the lifestyle, it's part of it, right? Like dressing certain way, so on and so forth.
I think what was awesome too at that time, like when I became really enamored with skating, this was, you're in Philly, Iverson is our hero,
Right.
Beanie Siegel's our hero, so it's like, now it's like state property, everything, you know, so I was like, oh, now it's really on, like I can really like own the things that, and the people, like supporting the people that inspire me in the city, you know, so that was awesome. Was like, I'd go to LA, and you know, like state property stuff back then looked like Dickie suits.
Yeah, looked like some prison wear or some shit. They're
So
like,
I'd go stay with my friends out there to skate, and they'd be like, Jimmy, did you
just
like,
break
did
out
you
somewhere?
bring this just for us? Like, and I'm like, no, this is, you know what state property clothing is? And they'd be like, No. Like, I'm like, this is what our shit looks like. We
Yeah.
got pro kids and,
You know what's funny? I kind of like missed that whole era because I was doing the like pop punk surf thing. I was like off traveling, whatever. Later, I ended up getting my law degree, and I was trying to do entertainment stuff. And a friend of mine was good friends with Chris Reese, who's young Chris.
Yeah.
I ended up doing a record deal for Chris Reese with Rico Love.
Get out of here.
Yeah, it was just like crazy, and I'll never forget this. I was once in the studio. This is a crazy story. So I heard actually on your podcast that you guys referenced Mark Byers.
Yeah. I just met Mark recently.
Mark Byers was introduced to me by Craig Kalman. You know who Craig Kalman is?
I don't know.
He's I think he's president of Atlantic Records. Amazing guy, but he knew I wanted to do some stuff in music after I was in the band. So he introduces me to Mark Byers, right? Mark Byers, I met him at I think Villa, like one of the villas or something. He invites me down to the studio. I go in the studio and it was Dre and Vidal, right?
Yeah.
Right off,
Legends,
right over there off Calla Hill or whatever. And I get down in there and like, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, like you know me, I'm not like the hardest kid in the world. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like I've been around a little bit.
Thanks for being honest with us.
They're like, yeah, who's this little white kid over here in the corner?
Listen, like I know enough to not like get my ass kicked every day, right? But anyway, I had been in this like honestly, like kind of Green Day, Blink-182 type deal, like surf rock, you know, like rocking out, going all over Warped Tour, that shit. And all of a sudden I'm in this studio with Dre and Vidal, and like I didn't know shit. I'd never turned knobs, you know. We'd record records and stuff. I'm sitting there, and you know, everybody's smoking blunts, and like there's just so many people in there. At the time, my dad was the governor of Pennsylvania, right? So I'm sitting in there, and I never really rocking a test. I never was too worried about like getting in trouble or nothing like that. Got out of trouble a fair amount. I don't know how many stories I can really tell. But anyway, we're in there, and I'm sitting there, and like Beanie Siegel walks in, you know, and I just was like, oh shit. And honestly, at the time, I didn't really even know like who was who, because I was not in that scene.
I think they did his whole fourth album.
When he walked in, I was just like, oh, like I just felt like frightened, you know. So I was like, oh shit.
It was probably the correct feeling.
Yeah. And like honestly, I just was like,
what year do you think this was?
This was like, okay, I know. So I stopped in the band in 04. So this was right around like 05-ish. Does that sound right?
Yeah, that does. Yeah.
Anyway, and I was just very quickly like, all right, if I do this, like I'm gonna go down a way different road, and it just like it didn't really work out, and I felt kind of lame about how.
Did you know who he was when he walked in?
Yeah,
okay.
Like I knew enough to know who he was, but I wasn't as well versed. But like Mark had tried to set me up, and it didn't really work out. We ended up staying in touch, and like you know had like kind of connected on some other stuff. But it was just wild to be in that place at that time, just be like, oh shit, you know, you could just feel it when he came in, man. People were just like, oh.
There were times where like he had that purple Bentley which apparently he got from Jay-Z, and like we get done skating, we go to Nocturnal, and he'd have the Bentley parked out front of Prime Sports, and like we would just sit there and like hope we saw him. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, like this, like, you know, maybe he was in Prime and we didn't want to be weirdos and go in there and like, you know, just be annoying while he's shopping, but. You know, Beans was like he was the fucking man at that point.
He still is the man.
Yeah.
Yo, here's a little trivia. Did you ever hear Angelo's Pizza in South Philly? It's like the newest, you know, it's like the best food in Philly. Beanie Siegel had a deal with Danny from Angelo's. They were going to open a bagel shop. It was in
Beanie's Bagels?
It was probably going to be the name.
That would have been great.
I mean, what else would you name it? And they had a deal. It was in the Inquirer and everything. And there's a picture in the Inquirer of Beanie and Danny from Angelo's with arm around each other.
Oh, that's sick.
But it never came to fruition. Then that dude who worked for Danny for a little while ended up making that what's that, Rorschach Bagels or whatever. It's a huge bagel shop now in South Philly. But he was almost a bagel entrepreneur.
Yeah, no, that's so funny, man.
It's confirmed Beanie Bagels. That's
Beanie
what
Bagels, that's it.
You got that picture, Fink? You got the picture?
Yeah.
I just looked it up, though.
Now, hold on, Fink. This is why, you know, we cannot underestimate the value of the Fink tank.
I do got the photo. Hold on.
Verifying.
Oh, he's got the photo.
Verifying. Are you plugged in?
He's plugged in, and he's showing us the photo.
There it
is. We'll edit that in.
I got a feeling he had a couple different business deals, you know, with local guys, so on and so forth.
The best though was with the like similar fashion when ice cream was big here. At that point, the Clips would come up to Philly a lot. They had a lot of close mutual friends here. Ab Liva from Major Figures. I don't know if they kicked it.
We Got It for Cheap.
Sandman.
No, Roscoe just got out of jail.
He did. So, but those guys would be like, Jimmy, you know, like, come to, you know, we got a show up, like, way up on Girard, or like, you know, like maybe some shit in Old City. But those dudes would have me up in clubs, and I'd be looking around like, I ain't got no business up there. But I had all the ice cream stuff on.
Can I be honest? Can I be honest? So when I was back, my buddy introduced me to Chris, young Chris.
He's a legend.
He's a great dude. He's a great dude. And I would like go over. I was trying to be like the cool lawyer. You know what I mean? Like I would go to his place. I would go to things. I remember one time he was doing like an appearance at a sneaker shop, and I'm showing up, and I was like, I went to a club once, and it was actually cool because at that time he was boys with Shady McCoy and D-Jack. So like I'd be like, yo, I'll come hang out, you know, and then these guys would be there, and
that's it.
But I was always trying to like, you know, hang, and so I would look around and be like,
the section of the city that they're from is, I cannot pronounce that.
Nicetown?
Nicetown.
What, Wingahocken?
Wingahocken?
Yeah. My wife is like, where do you guys? Yeah. My mom lives on Schuylkill Avenue. And my girl's always like, when she comes to town, she's always like, how the fuck did you guys think of these names? Like,
Schuylkill's tough.
But Wingahocken is one of the more difficult ones in the city.
Especially Roosevelt Boulevard. Now I'm going to stop with that. I'm not going there again. All right, so I did want to ask you, though, I think a lot of people who are familiar with you and have followed your career, that whole Pharrell time period. I mean, look, I think here in Philly, right, you know, we have this kind of, a lot of people say we got this, not jealousy, but like, you know, you got New York, you got DC, LA, like we feel like, you know, we don't have that same kind of cachet. And like to see somebody from Philly go mix it up with people like that, I think is really interesting to a lot of people. And we know as a result of you being a part of that, you must, you know, really experience some really cool shit. So I was hoping you might talk about that for me.
So that was like a thing.
Explain, by the way, like what happened, because a lot of people probably don't know about ice cream.
So, a gentleman from South Philly, he's born and raised right next to the Merlinos, right here on on Broad, 2 blocks down from the stadium. Antonio Scalia. He was a Love Park kid, but he was also a sneakerhead. He's kind of one of these guys that understands culture and is really good at branding. So he worked at a couple of skate companies during their peaks. He gets poached to go work for Zoo York. And Zoo York at the moment had gotten bought by Echo. So now they got Echo Unlimited money. They're recognizing, there's this group from Virginia called the Neptunes that are in the skate shit. So they tasked my buddy to help get the Neptunes for this promo shoot. Right at that point, him and my buddy Antonio, or Nino, and Pharrell just become like best friends. They'd be in Philly, he'd be taking Pharrell to Ubick to buy dunks. He'd take him to the Diesel. He put Pharrell on like Diesel, you know, like when those skinny, dirty jeans were starting to pop off. So those two both having a love for skateboarding, and at this point, it's like Bathing Ape Pharrell. There was a little bit of ice cream product out there, but it was kind of all over the place.
Did Billionaire Boys Club come out at the same time, or is that
No,
afterwards?
they put the shoes out, and the shoes sat on the shelves for a minute, man. It was like people didn't really know how to take to them.
Talking about the shoes with like the beepers and the money rolls on them.
Dude, I had to get them on eBay.
No, but they would be at Ubick, but they were $200, and it was like people didn't really get it. I think Pharrell was still in a little bit of an obscure space. Like, you know, we obviously knew Super Thug and all the Nori shit, but I don't think fashion Pharrell had really blown up. So, but those two come up with this idea. They're gonna get with Terry Kennedy. They're gonna create, you know, drop it like it's hot down. Just I'm a first skater, and they're like, yo, we're gonna make this like skate program. When he first asked me, I was like, no, this sounds insane. Like, this is not. I'm from Philadelphia, like, Love Park. Like, this sounds way too commercial for me. And things in my skate career were kind of all over the place. So I doubled back and I was like, is this thing still available? Is that spot? Thank God I did it, man. If I would have missed that train, like I don't know where in my life I would be at.
Like, I was sort of into skateboarding, but that's when I knew who you were when you joined the ice cream skateboarding team. And then I was like, oh shit, there's a guy from Philly, you know?
Yeah.
Like I didn't, I wasn't never into skateboard. I liked watching skate videos and I liked wearing skate clothes, but
that was the thing. Was it now took skating, a bunch of skateboarders, and it put us in conversations and in platforms that were like, now it's kind of speaking to to everybody, you know. And
so wasn't Pharrell like already big? He was fairly big before that.
It was interesting because it was, you know, his career was already on the up and up.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think when especially when Team Ice Cream really popped off, it really began the launch of his trajectory.
Right.
You know, and you know. He's knee deep with Bathing Ape now.
Nego.
He's the Louis Vuitton guy now, ain't he?
Yeah, he's a creative director with Louis.
Yeah, he took Virgil's spot when he passed away.
Yeah, he did. And I thought about that a lot too. Like, man, that's such a hard. Those are big shoes to fill.
Yeah.
And I kept thinking maybe it would be Pharrell, and sure enough, I texted him that morning. You know, and I had I think at 9 a.m. Pacific time, it was like, oh, there's rumors Pharrell. And then by noon, it
Mm-hmm.
And I had texted him later on, like, oh, shit, that escalated quickly.
Yeah. So it's probably safe to say that his influence on fashion and everything and his experiences, you probably leveraged a lot of his knowledge for your standard issue.
It's the first thing if I do any sort of fashion press or anything, it's the first thing that people ask. It's it's done wonders for me, and I truly I wouldn't be sitting here with you guys right now if it wasn't for that. So it was it just helped me. It's an easy it's a digestible thing when you're talking to a stranger and oh, well, they don't know anything about you, but we got to give you a shot because you skateboarded for Pharrell for all these years.
Right.
It's made conversations a lot.
You have to be somewhat
a lot more digestible.
Yeah.
So
what is your? There's got to be a couple moments, maybe one that sticks out where you're just holy shit, I'm from Norristown and I'm doing something with Pharrell right now.
Before you answer that, a second part to that, when you were in the moment, did you realize it, or did it take a few years later and be like, holy shit, I was involved in that, or I was a part of that, or do you realize it as it's happening? This is some legendary shit going on.
Crazy. There were definitely a lot of moments where they'd be because they almost have us on rapper shit where it'd be Jimmy, we're gonna shoot the ads for for Reebok or whatever, and I'm all right, when are we gonna shoot them? And they'd be we're actually gonna send your itinerary right now. You leave in 3 hours. So I was all right, this is kind of moving faster than I'm comfortable with, but they would do that, and you'd show up to LA to skate on stage at the American Music Awards. So it was what am I doing? There's all of these people out here, and I'm on this rinky-dink ramp, just doing kick turns because I'm I'm definitely not falling up here. But I think the coolest moment in retrospect is probably they opened up a store in Tokyo, and it was right in Shibuya, and it was all of the big Japanese fashion brands were already there. So and then they carved out this really amazing ice. It was a legit ice cream parlor. Mm-hmm. So being there for that, and then the launch party that night, and they're at the club they gave each of us these huge Magnum bottles of rosé. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's probably bigger than Magnum. They were massive, and you couldn't even pour your own drink. So it was
you had to get a hand.
I know a bottle service in Old City at red, or was it at blue or something? It looks I'd never seen anything like this. So it was definitely there was shit where it was I would have never imagined growing up in Norristown that we're here.
You got no wild studio stories like Jess over there running the Beans? I know you had some crazy studio stories.
Yeah, I did see Beans one night, out late night, and this is probably 06, 07. And I was probably feeling myself too much. I'm I'm skating for Pharrell. He's got music done by Pharrell. And I remember tapping on the back thinking I was going to introduce myself to him. And he just turns around and looks at me and if you don't get your fucking hand out, and I'm cool, my bad, yeah.
Understood.
Nah, but just one time I seen Juvenile in the studio with him. And I thought that was pretty cool. With his shirt wrapped around his head. Or meeting Robin Thicke would be in there smoking hella weed, and I'd be damn, Robin Thicke smokes a lot of weed.
I think his dad does too, from Growing Pains.
So shit like that. I seen Robin Thicke at a beach club in LA one time. It was it's a family spot, and they have a restaurant and bar inside. I went to pay the tab for our dinner, and he was there like ordering a drink, and I was like, "You don't remember me, huh?" And he was like, "Nah." Like I used to skate for Pharrell, and he's like, "Okay, I think I do." You know?
It's like it's a little.
And then he had like
I was
a little,
really high.
Yeah, and he had my man had like a double shot of Jack and just like put it back and then just took off. So I was like, told my girl like, I think I just saw Robin Thicke in there. Yeah.
All right, so after that, you kind of evolved into, I don't want to call you like a fashion. You know, fashion has a certain connotation to it that, you know, that's why I kind of like Maker a little better. But I don't want to go there yet because you moved to LA, right? But you obviously are a Philly guy at heart, and I think anybody who's paid attention, you know, on social media or whatever, you obviously are repping like all our teams. So, being that the City Pigeons Podcast is in many respects a Philly sports podcast, wanted to get into that with you a little bit in terms of like that's another thing, right? Where I think back in the day, like skating and sports like did not go together, but then like hip hop, basketball, like it all came together, and now it feels like, you know, it's kind of okay to be like a sports. Here we know it's part of who you are.
I used to get made fun of at Love because I did play sports. I did love Philly sports. I think, you know, like the Iverson championship run, I saw that have a huge effect on like the skate community. That was the first time where I would see if the game was at 7, like especially that particular playoff run, Love was clearing out at 6:30. Everyone would be at Copacabana or whatever it's called down there on 22nd and South, or, you know, so it was like, I don't know. For me, having grown up in like a real sports family, I was like, dude, I don't care. I fucking love this shit.
Did you play a lot of sports growing up?
I played every sport up until high school, and then I wrestled, and like the crew of kids I grew up wrestling with were all like fucking national champs, and I was like, well, I'm stuck in this now because if I quit, I'm really gonna be like, it's gonna stand out like a sore thumb. And I was like, I love skating though, and I was like, you know, I'll stick it out, and thankfully I did, man. Wrestling like helped me a lot. Like it's a very I don't know. You got to have a lot of self-discipline, and
I could never have done that. I was actually at my kid's school the other day, you know, for like a basketball game, and there's like a wrestling situation going on. I just looked in there and I was just like, like, I mean, these two dudes are like, yo, can I just be honest? Like, when it starts and they're lined up and the one guy's on top of the other, I'm out right there. And by the way, that is not. I don't mean that to be. I don't mean that to be the way you think that it is.
No, that's what, but you know, kids, like, that's what they'd always say. Like, nice singlet, Jimmy.
The singlet. Like, it's not a becoming look. Everybody in there was so hyped. That was kind of cool. Like, I thought that was kind of cool. By the way,
I counted at least 7 smacks on his shoulder.
Did I do that?
Yeah.
Is that my thing?
At least 7 times.
Tonight, keep smacking, man.
Couldn't use one of your wrestling moves to get that guy out of the car that took your phone? You could have.
Man, you know what? I should have.
Here, Jimmy, and we'll replicate the beginning of the wrestling match. You want to be? No. We are not going to do that.
Let me ask you: has any Philly team reached out to you and been like, "Yo, thanks for constantly"? Because I feel like there's like levels. I guess you get like the Bradley Coopers and the Mike Trouts. And I feel like you're on the next rung with like Ryan Phillippe.
Man, that sounds
amazing. Did you ring the bell?
That's awesome to say.
Did you ring the bell?
No, you know what?
No, but
you rang the union bell.
I rang the union bell.
Yeah, I saw
and
that.
That was amazing in itself. Where like, they were like, Jimmy, you know, if you're ever in Philly, we'd love to have you come do it. And I'm like, there's nothing seems more scary than walking in front of all them people.
Yeah.
And I did a little research. I watched other people do it to time it out and stuff. And, you know, for sure I'm walking out and they're like, who the fuck is he? You know, like no one knows who this guy is, you know. But
see, that's got to change. I mean, you've done so much for the city. You're out in Cali now, but you still rep the city. Mm-hmm. I mean, you don't see that too often with, like there aren't many celebrities that are like diehard Philly fans.
Yeah.
And you could spot a real Philly fan from a fake easily. Yeah. So I guess that's why only the true actual Philly fans can pull it off.
But you know what's interesting to me, and I want to get into this with you. Like, you have been out in LA, obviously. When we all think about LA, we think Hollywood, movies, music, whatever. And I feel like I wanted to ask you, how do you feel like people view Philly and people from Philly, like when you're there? And I want to say like generally, not specific like in music or in, you know, like generally speaking, because I know in skateboarding, like it's a little different, but like generally, because people like a lot of people think, some people think people from Philly are assholes.
I think they think we're thugged out. Honest to God, I think they, I mean, I do wear a big ass hat all the time. It just comes with the hat. I think, and obviously with, with the battery stories and Santa Claus, like people can't let go of those things.
Yeah.
They're like, I've seen
it's unfair
dude,
too.
I'm not. Come on, and this would be like LA fans. I'm like, dude, you guys fucking killed someone in your parking lot, bro. Like, dude, don't talk to us.
Last week, a guy on the Angels tried to punch a fan who called him a bitch, and you don't hear about that.
Nah,
Yeah, if that happened in Philly, that would be different. But you got to indulge me here because I have a theory on this. I think we have gotten to the point, though, where because of social media and because of the way that you can, like, perceive more what people are like because so much shit is out there, right? I think that a lot of fan bases, and I'm thinking more about sports than in the city in general, a lot of fan bases and people envy Philly because we are known as like the real ones when it comes to sports. And so I think like repping Philly and being like into Philly sports, you go back like 10 years, it's like, oh, Philly fans are the biggest assholes. But I think now it's kind of gotten to the point there's so much fake shit out there where they're kind of like, I feel like people kind of respect it. It's kind of like, okay, Bill's Mafia, right? Got mad respect for Bill's Mafia. Okay, that's a little ridiculous. Now throwing the dildos on the field, man, it's a little fun.
It's kind of funny.
You want to jump off a trailer
I think
onto a table?
Funnier
I'm in.
than throwing it is the guy who's got to sneak it in there. Because you get patted down and everything.
Where are you putting that?
Where's he putting that to get it in the?
You're barely getting frisked walking in the
So
lake.
my point is though, like a while ago, it just used to be like worst fans ever, snowballs with Santa. But now it's like, and by the way, part of what has changed that narrative, in my opinion, is we have gotten all these great free agents. Right? Like, don't tell me, I'm definitely onto something here, by the way. Bryce Harper comes in, right? And he like, I want to come here, I want to play here. All he talks about is how much he loves it here. That sort of stuff changes the narrative. People in other places are like, damn, Philly's a great place to play because they give a shit about the teams. And they're like, I wish my weak-ass fan base was more like that. Does that make sense?
It probably changes the narrative with the actual players, but the fans that are in other cities still think we're all assholes. Come on, now, let's be honest.
Who cares?
I'm cool
Lean
with
into
that.
it. Lean into it.
I don't care either.
I think there's more respect for asshole-ish behavior than there used to be. That's my point.
All right.
They stick to these stories, and it's like you're not. It's hard for them to unprogram themselves to think what they heard 15, 20 years ago is still true. It's like, I go to Dodgers games and I'm like, dude, these fans are like, they're scary.
We went to a game the other night and
they might fuck me up. Like,
we went to Rocky and I went to the Eagles-Rams game at the Coliseum.
Oh,
and even then, there was a couple scenarios where I was like, I ain't saying nothing. You know what I mean?
I remember
like,
walking through like a line of people, like on both sides there was Rams fans, and I'm like, I hope one of these dudes doesn't come out and like just stab me for wearing my jersey.
We were at both of them games, but we outnumbered them at both of them games, both years in a row.
That was at the Coliseum. It was wild.
Damn, I wish I would have known you guys were there. That was fun. Man.
Now we know, man. We did lots of fun things together.
My girl,
I could tap you on the shoulder.
My girl almost unloaded on this lady at that game. My daughter was waiting to use the bathroom, and this lady popped off my girl. My girl walked her all the way back. Said hold her, and then just turned around, and my step-brother-in-law was like, dude, Jimmy, I'll get $1 million, go. And because I get to the scene of the crime, and my girl's just like going in on her. I was like, damn, yo, you fucked up, lady. I don't know what you did to her, but
Fink, what do you think, man? You think like there's always so much different stuff going on the internet with the Philly fans. Do you think we get respect, man, or do you think that people still think we're just Neanderthals? I mean, I will say this, the whole like negative thing.
They think we're animals.
They think we're animals.
I think we should lean into it. I want people to be scared of us.
I like to think you have. Have you not?
What?
Leaned into it.
Yeah, I do. I want people to be scared of us.
You know, Fink got banned from going to Flyers games because he threw hot dogs on them?
No.
That's not how it went?
No, he got banned from the Jersey.
Prudential Center, City Field.
Okay.
I did do a little. I was in a jail cell in City Field for an hour.
He also got called in by the FBI for threatening them on Twitter, or was it the Secret Service?
Secret Service.
He also threatened a guy from Minnesota on Twitter, and the guy said he was going to fly and meet him at his hoagie shop, and he gave him the address to the hoagie shop.
I lean into it.
Here's the thing: your average Philly sport fan in general. This is the way I look at it. They could probably jump in the position of any broadcaster for any pro sport that you watch and probably be more informative and accurate with their broadcast than the majority of these guys that are sitting up there on these national broadcasts. It's like,
that's right.
You know,
that's
like
why I started podcasts.
We live sports.
Crazy
reactions. We know our
because
stuff.
we care.
Yeah.
If you don't care about sports, you won't have those kind of reactions. It won't matter to you. But it bothers you.
I kept getting the trifecta memes sent to me of the Union guy, Jalen, and Bryce, like all with the trophies there. And I'm like, dude, you don't even had one team in the playoffs. You don't. Where do you guys find the nerve to even say something?
They just like putting us down. I think that makes sense.
I've been meaning to ask you guys this because I had a moment where
Niners fans. Hold on, I didn't.
These
guys when they beat the Cowboys, they were like acting as if they were already in the Super Bowl. And I'm like, dog, I don't care who's your quarterback. You guys are acting like we're not going to beat the brakes off you next week. It was like.
And then after they got the brakes beat off,
then it was excuses.
Yeah, if we would have
we had
our
quarterback,
the whole game, it would have been a different.
And then they forget we put 30 points up on them.
Yeah.
That's what I said. I was like,
we put 30
we
on
knocked him out of the game. You know what I mean? We knocked his ass out of the game.
Me and you, we did.
It was murder's road. And the very next play, your backup got sacked and put the ball right in Reddick's bread basket.
But I had this moment, and I thought of you guys. We'll get Jimmy's take on this too. I kind of felt like a fraud because my whole life I've just been so, I don't say negative, but scarred by all the bad losses, the NFC Championship losses, and the Phillies championship and the Eagles championship sticks out. The rest of it is pretty challenging. But I was sitting there, and this was like a week or two ago, and I was like, I don't feel somebody's calling the order food. It's kind of late for that.
Hello.
Yeah, let's answer it. So I didn't feel like, I thought to myself, man, we just lost two, and I'm not a huge soccer guy, so I get it, 3, cool, but two of the teams I've found my whole life, lost championships within X amount of days, and I don't feel awful. And I was like, if this had happened to me at a different stage of my life, I would have been suicidal for 6 months straight. And I'm like, am I soft, or is it the Eagles winning the championship? And you know what I actually thought to myself? I said to myself, I enjoyed all of that. The ride, I enjoyed the winning. It was fun. Yeah. And I'm like, maybe I'm just fraudulent. Meech, what's your take on that?
I can't feel that way.
You can't feel
I'm
that
still
way.
I'm very depressed about the Phillies still, and I don't even want to talk about the Eagles. That's a whole different level.
He's not letting it go.
Yeah, there you go. I'll get over it, but I
don't think so. It's been a while.
I can't tell you I enjoy the ride when the loss is that bad. It might make me enjoy when they finally win it even that much more, but I can't enjoy a loss. I can't do it. It really
I didn't say I enjoyed the loss. Okay.
No, I understand, but I can't enjoy the ultimate result.
Yeah, but that ride, we had that amazing playoff tailgate, NFC Championship game.
We had a good time.
We went down Broad
It was better
Street.
than not making the playoffs. I'll give you that.
That's for sure.
I don't think my liver could have. I between the Phillies playoff run,
it rolled right
into the holidays, Christmas,
Eagles,
New Year's, and then the Eagles. My body was like, dude, this gotta stop.
No
man.
Okay, so I wanted to ask you about this. Right? Here, obviously, we have the games, right? We're going to a lot of the games. We're throwing parties, tailgates. You're getting up for it. You're in LA, and so I was real curious what it's like to be out there, and then watching the Super Bowl. Are you watching at home kind of guy?
I see his little Eagles watch party.
Yeah, we have a good.
Did you have Vern over there?
Vern was there. I mean, there was for the Giants game, my girl was like, dude, this is too many fucking people, Jimmy. I can't host this many people. So we toned it back for the second round for the Niners. That was the third, actually. I'm sorry. And then Super Bowl week, I had to keep it tight and intimate because I was like, now I need to really focus in. And but there's I got some of my closest friends, childhood friends that all live out there. So you know,
so you got crew, you got local crew,
and it's been going on.
That must actually be cool because you got the bond of the fact that you're all out there, you're coming together. And I know you wanted to run out in the street and be like,
dude, when they won when they won the Super Bowl, it was like, I just like went on my porch and like screamed. I watched my father-in-law. He's from Chicago. He's a Cubs fan, and I watched at that point he was living with us. I watched that series when they came down 3-1 to win that one. Watched him go on my porch and scream. So he got to watch me then go on my porch and scream. I think the biggest void is the Sixers thing, man. Like,
we'll get
that's the biggest gap for me in my existence inside. Yeah. Like, that's why it probably didn't hurt. It's like, yo, I seen 08. We would have won 09 if A-Rod wasn't all fucking roided up. You know, to see Nick Foles beat Tom Brady. No one can say anything. It's like that's the equivalent of 3 or 4 rings in my eyes.
All right, yeah. So
you know,
we need the petition.
We got
to have Jimmy ring the bell for the playoffs this year.
That would be great, man. That would be awesome.
We need that good luck.
Okay,
man.
But real quick, I'd love to get your take on this while you're here in town. The Sixers team is presently constituted. Do we think they have what it takes, man? I mean, obviously Embiid's an animal. Pretty much looks like he's definitely going to win the MVP. By the way, Meech, congrats on your MVP futures bet.
And his Rookie of the Year bets, too.
All right.
Yeah, I took Carroll Rookie of the Year
I don't know.
Embiid MVP.
But I'm pissed off because last year when Embiid looked like he was going to be the clear winner, I took him early and got great odds, and at the very end it turned to Jokic. You did the opposite.
When will they say that when
usually happens in the finals? Because I remember the only reason I know this is because I remember when they used to announce like Karl Malone was an MVP. Yeah, he got his right before game 1.
But they vote after the regular season, right? So the postseason doesn't matter.
Right.
Jokic, the Jokic news came out early last year, though, right?
Because the voters can say who they vote for, like in their little columns, and then there's people who
tallying it up.
And know he can't lose because this many people confirm their voting for.
But it's a lot. Congratulations!
The actual MVP award.
Wait, what did he win?
He won an Embiid Futures MVP
future. I bet $100 to win $525 that he win MVP back like a month ago.
Damn.
When Jokic was the favorite. After he had a big Saturday
I almost want him not to win it just to see the rage.
Shut up, man. Shut up.
Listen, I won't be pissed about.
That's some real hate right there.
I'll be pissed for hate. And
I love to see Meech all pissed off. Man.
That's not nice. I'm on
Jimmy,
2 types of blood pressure medication.
Sixers,
he's trying to get me pissed off.
What do you think about the Sixers?
Man, it sucks, and this is you guys might fuck me up for saying this, man.
Keep it real.
But it's like.
We're probably all thinking the same thing.
If you're going to say something bad about Doc Rivers, just go ahead and say it. They got to show me they can beat Boston, man. And if they can beat Boston, they can beat anybody else.
They beat them a couple nights ago.
You know, they did, You know,
they had Jaylen Brown.
You know, they blew that lead 2 games ago to Boston, and that made me sick to my stomach. You know, it's just like, dude, there's no Brad Stevens there. The guy that caught lightning in a bottle last year is gone. Like, Doc, if you can't outcoach this guy, like, you know, I don't know. It's been the same team there for all these years.
I don't know what you're hearing out there in L.A., but Doc's not well liked around here now.
He's not.
Yeah.
I mean, and they, you know, he made a name for himself with the Clippers, so it's like,
oh yeah,
you know, it's his reputation.
And what did he blow a 3-1 lead in the playoffs?
He did, yeah.
And 2 of the games he blew like 20-some point lead. Leads in the third quarter.
You know, they'll be like, oh, well, Chris Paul got hurt. Why do you have fucking Joel in that Raptors game, man? Like, that was so stupid, yo.
But can we say this? They're what? Third? They're going to finish third? Right? They're going to finish third.
Yeah.
Like, given everything that's transpired up to this point, I don't think people could be less excited. Like, everyone's going into this like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just there's something about him that just makes you feel like
you got to get past that second round.
Well, you got to
We're stuck in that second round. Purgatory.
One thing that we haven't had going into a playoffs is a healthy Embiid.
Yeah.
He's always got some sort of nagging injury. Or remember that time Markelle Fultz broke his like orbital bone. But I'm saying he's always injured going into the playoffs. If he's so good right now. He could carry a team like remember when Dirk carried the Mavericks?
Yeah.
He was pretty much by himself. I mean, he had Sean Marion. He had a couple guys, but it was pretty much Dirk taking the Mavs. That's the kind of shit Embiid's got to do in the playoffs. Just carry them. He's got to do everything. And
Tobias, his defense looks next level in the playoffs. The kid that they got from, what's his name?
Charlotte? McDaniels?
Not McDaniels. I'm sorry. What am I calling? Melton. Yeah. He's kind of been a low-key stud all season. James looks healthier than, he's got to get that thing off his back that people are saying that he can't do it. Like, I think he's got a lot to prove. So yeah, all of the stars do look like they can align for him this playoff run.
And who knows? Maybe somebody else will knock Boston out and clear a path for us.
Because
that happened
right
before,
now?
And then we lost.
But then you're not scared of the Bucks.
If we're winning right now, we're going to get the Nets. So that means Boston will get the Knicks in the first round, right?
We don't know.
All right.
Yeah,
there's that whole playoffs, that whole play-in scenario.
It feels like people collectively have concerns. You know what I mean? I don't think there's a lot of people. I don't think there's a lot of people who are like, this is the year.
But before you can get excited, you just have to see them get out of the second round because they haven't been able to do it.
Well, and look, the Phillies last year going to the playoffs, I was like, I don't know how this is going to go, and you just never know.
Those are great series too, man. The
great
Braves
series.
won and
the Cardinals, they were down facing the best closer in the majors, down 3-1 in the ninth inning, and they came back and win the game.
That was awesome, man.
Those were the good times. All right, before we let you go, I want you to talk to us real quick about your clothing lines, and kind of quickly how they came about. And
I'm rocking a pair of the sweats right
there. You go. Boom, there you go.
Yeah.
I got some questions to see if you can help me out a little bit, but let's just hear about them generally, and then we'll get into that.
Perfect.
All right.
When
go easy, bro. Go easy.
My partner, who he's probably, I don't know where he's at right now. He's outside having a ciggy. Yeah, Jared. I met.
There he is.
There he is.
He's in here.
This guy was a blessing to meet because at a point where post skating, still wanting to do things in streetwear and fashion, and I had ideas on I really love sweatsuits. I love sweatpants. Come from the era of like Rockaware and Polo and all this shit, and I'm working for these different companies and I'm trying to figure out how let me just explore this idea of just even making a pair of sweatpants, not even trying to sell them. And Los Angeles has a huge garment making district, and through a friend of a friend met Jared, and you just when you meet somebody, you just have a good you can tell there's a good energy between you two, and I think he understood what I was trying to do, and he understood what things I might be lacking if we want to try to get this idea across. And we did JSP for 2 or 3 years, and we just couldn't get in front of it. We have both recently had children. We had other businesses we needed to attend to.
That'll kill you.
Yeah, so you're just trying to figure out how to make it work. We couldn't the first time around. We couldn't do it. A couple years later, he approached me and said, "Do you want to do JSP again?" And I just still wasn't in the right headspace for it. We had just bought a house. I was stressed about that. I was working for other companies that I wasn't probably the most psyched on. And so he goes, all right, cool. I'm going to start this thing called Standard Issue. And knowing how thorough of a business person he is, I already knew it was going to be good. So the first thing he sent me was this beautifully packaged T-shirt. And just seeing the packaging alone, I was like, oh, this is really fucking nice, Jared. I could see this thing being in Neiman Marcus or something. And it was just a perfect white tee. And I remember telling people about it, and they were like, you guys are doing T-shirts, Jimmy? It's 2018, and I'm like, dude, a T-shirt's not as important to you as it is to me. I was confused that people weren't seeing out the gate how unique of a thing it was. So American Apparel had just gone out of business, so I was like, I know there's a place for these essentials and basics. And Jared was like, look, come rock with me, help me build out this stuff. We already have sweatsuits that me and you develop together. We'll implement that. Here and there, we'll sprinkle in JSP releases, and let's just give it a shot. And, I started with him in March of 2018, and we're like, oh, we'll give it 6 or 9 months to see if we can get the ball rolling. Month 2 or 3, Esquire wrote this incredible piece just about that same fucking T-shirt that every person I told prior to that looked at me like I was crazy. And I'm like, and it changed everything for us. And it just like the next thing you know, we had a Wall Street Journal write up about our T-shirts. I'm like, dude, this is the Wall Street. We got no business in the Wall Street Journal, but we are here, and we're gonna own this, and we're gonna show people that there's other people seeing the specialty of this T-shirt, and we just kept building from there, man. And we've been very, very fortunate, and you know, Jared's given me the opportunity. I always said if I ever figured out any momentum in my life and had a place where I could circle back and pay homage to the people and the things in Philadelphia that did something for me, and to support the skaters that were just like me at one point, I'm gonna do that. So every collaboration that we get that I can throw some kids from Philly in the lookbooks or design some shit around, you know, a fucking graffiti artist in Kensington, or, you know, just a cross street here that means something to me.
We're available for, you know, a little shoot.
No. Now that I know, dude.
A little City Pigeons.
At the end of the podcast, City Pigeons was furnished by Jimmy Smith. Standard issue.
You want to throw us in an ad, man?
I'd love to be the
stand
official sponsor, and then we can figure out. I already got the lookbook shot figured out.
Hell yeah.
The couch. We got the beers. Jay Macias is involved in a beer company, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he's like starting his own, actually. Yeah.
His beers in there.
Oh, hell yeah.
That's an easy call, man.
All right.
Nothing covers up the gut like
on that note,
an XL
though, I was
sweatsuit.
thinking about this, and you know, there's been a lot of changes in sizing over the years, right? Big, tight, whatever. But like, it's funny when you're over here, I always think like, man, T-shirt season really snuck up on me, because here you can kind of hide yourself for a while. When you're in LA, you can't hide yourself.
Yeah.
Like, we can hide who we are, and then all of a sudden, boom, it hits you like, oh, I got to wear T-shirts now. I'm not ready for that. And I was thinking maybe you could
get yourself this. I got the 3-pack of the standard issue.
Great,
the white,
is that
black,
what to do?
gray, man.
You can use my code too. It's your Uncle Jimmy 30. So, like all the young bucks, they call me Uncle
Put that
Jimmy.
at the bottom of the screen.
So I just had the 30%.
Everybody. Okay.
I'm on it.
But no, but here's what I was going to ask you is like, you know, you have any tips to how to make like, you know, like the thicker gentleman, you know what I mean? Just like, you know, a little bigger.
Hit the gym, bro. Hit the gym.
Yeah, but like, no, for real.
Sit-ups.
Nothing ever fits me
Yeah.
right, you know what I mean? And like, I always wear like, you have a lot of lighter shit, and I've always been kind of afraid of light colors. I'm like, I'll go with the darker stuff, you know what I mean?
So
the whites, the bigger.
This is the first tip for
Here we go.
our husky
Huskies.
for our husky bulls. You just buy for the colder months. You get the standard issue thermal.
Hide
It's
yourself.
not quite a thermal, but it's not quite a sweater. And like any like insecurity you might have with the midsection, it's got you covered. You're good right there.
Yeah.
In terms of the sweatpant, I would just go stick our sweatpants. See, I don't like the tapered skinny boy sweat. That's the weirdest thing ever. That is like
the jogger look.
Yo, that's that's
when those Nike Tech pants.
Nah, those are
you
cardinal
can't even put
sins, man.
Yo, this is me pretending I don't have like 4 or 5 years.
The skinny
My
joggers
bad.
are cardinal sins. So you
My
can
bad.
you can purchase the standard issue sweatpant in your regular size.
Yeah, but to my point, if you're a husky dude, you start to look extra schleppy if you got a lot of extra fabric. You know what I mean?
Listen to the man. He's telling you how to avoid that.
All right.
I think it'll be proportional, you know, and the thermal, it's kind of sexy. So like you could pull it off.
I'm definitely looking for that.
You could rock look. You could legit rock it to the gym. You could wear it to work. You could wear it to dinner with your old lady, and it'll check the box in all 3 places.
Right.
But yeah, go and then in terms of the T-shirt, I would just go with our regular T-shirt size too. It's like we don't have a. You know those.
You should size up though, big fella.
You think I should size up?
Just size up.
Okay, man.
What size are you?
Usually extra large.
Yeah, just stay with the XL.
But yo, to be honest with you, every extra large is different. You know that.
Yeah.
I'm between a large and an extra large. I got a large in the standard issue.
Large, that's why I like a large in them. Yeah.
So I got a question. There's a million brands out there. It feels like a new brand's popping up every fucking day. How do you guys stay ahead of that and like just stay successful in this industry?
Man, that is $1 million question because, you know, obviously we all get so much information to our phone. You see these visuals, you know, every day somebody's got something new on, and you just got to put on. It's like anything else. You just got to put your blockers on and just stay committed to what
you're doing.
Guys said, you know, no different than what you guys are doing here. It's just like you stick to your script. and
put out quality shit.
Yeah, quality talks for itself, right?
Yeah, and just be consistent.
It's been working so far.
There's a lot of days where I'm like, Jared, what are we doing, man? Like this guy just put out lower piano sweats.
It goes into a Federal Donuts chicken sandwich, man. You put out the best goddamn chicken sandwich, and you're going to see Federal Donuts keep popping up throughout the city.
Hey, look at I mean, the Popeyes thing, man. It's like no one's talking about that no more. But I'm sure at the height of that Popeyes thing, you're probably like, man, we need to come up with some Cajun recipe right now and some spicy mayonnaise to throw in this bad boy. But it's like it's like you got to let. I always say, like, you got to let the circus come to town, let these people show their ass, let these brands,
15 minutes.
Because a lot of people aren't built for the long haul, and I think I've learned that in everything where it's like if you just stay true to who you are. I've had a lot of sleepless nights, man. There were points in my, career personally, man, I'd just be sitting on the porch just slamming beers, chain smoking cigs, because I'm like, I know this ain't where I'm supposed to be in my life right now. I know there's still more things I want to do, still more things I want to accomplish, and it's just like, we all get to that point where we're like, it's so easy to throw the towel in, so long as you don't do that, you're gonna find yourself closer to whatever it is that you're really
and to have mastered so many different crafts, it's really impressive, man.
Yeah, man.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
It's
a
honor.
Testament to your.
We don't give up here, though, man.
That's what I was trying to say. It's a testament to your Philly attitude, man. Like, you're not going to just give up. One thing ends. That's not.
Yeah.
Nah, it's a really compelling story. As I've kind of started to figure out more and more about what you've done, who you are, and the fact you're from Philly, you represent Philly. We all appreciate that, and we thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you guys. I appreciate it.
I almost forgot. I got to handle a little business here. City Pigeons Podcast is brought to you by the Goodhart Law Firm. Mr. Mark Goodhart is hands down the best personal injury attorney in the city. Jimmy,
you get hurt skateboarding somewhere in front of a business?
Sue that business, Jimmy. You know what I'm saying? The Goodhart Firm.
So.
Is that cracking a sidewalk?
So someone told me Mark has to deal with all these like South Floridian lawyers coming up here advertising. Is that a real thing? Or
Dude. Like the Morgan and Morgan. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. Why? What?
John Morgan.
Wait, what?
That's that John Morgan.
But Mark has to deal with that because Mark is the true local business person who takes care of his people from Philly, and he's got the corporate shark
John
coming
Morgan
up here.
Isn't even credited in Philadelphia to practice law. He just puts his bull.
By the way, can I say something real quick from an attorney's perspective? You can't be accredited every fucking state. Meaning, like, you're going to take the bar in every damn state. Of course, John Morgan's not accredited in this state.
Are you sticking up for John
He's got
Morgan
800
right now?
lawyers.
Like, come on.
But listen, here's all you need to know.
Yeah.
Mark Goodhart is licensed in Pennsylvania, and he knows Philly. And if you have any injury matters, you got to hit him up, right? He's a proud supporter of the podcast. We appreciate him.
Mark's the man.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Mark
what,
is the
that's
man.
what it is. So, Jimmy,
Shout
thank
to
you.
Mark.
Hey,
thank you guys.
We could talk to you all night. We'll do
Oh, hell
part 2 on
You want
this.
to?
We got to do a
Yeah,
part
we need
two.
to. When we go out to LA, we'll hop on.
That would be
between
awesome.
the seams.
You come on ours.
Yeah, we'll just force our way right onto your podcast. That's what we do. That's what we do.
That would be awesome.
No,
man.
but seriously, appreciate you, and hey, have a safe trip back to LA. And hey, let's hope the Sixers, man, maybe they can get it done this year. All right.
Because who knows what's going to happen?
Who
with
knows? Shit, man. All right.
Let me ask you guys a question though. Where do the Lakers go from here?
Man, I don't know. I'm not
The
paying
Lakers?
attention to the Lakers. Come on, man.
LeBron's going to stick around until his son gets in the league. He'll play a season. I don't see him winning shit, though. I mean,
That would be remarkable watching those two play together.
it would be. It would be cool.
There's
But
never been a father-son in pro sports yet, right?
Yeah, Ken Griffey Jr. and
Wow,
Senior
what
played on
am
the
I-
same
Right.
team.
No, there's been a couple.
Marriage.
I think there's been a couple.
They
in
hit
baseball.
back-to-back homers. How's that?
Damn.
That is.
Remember we had Tony Gwynn here for a year.
Yeah,
for
Junior,
He
yeah.
was a Philly for a second,
Yeah.
wasn't he?
See, you guys realize I study these stats on the podcast, and like when you get to a certain point, you got to start. And you guys just keep going. I'm like, all right, well, we're done.
All right,
It's
we'll wrap
Ross
it up.
is like,
Sorry.
Wait, yo, he
I
does
just don't
this
wanna
to me
leave,
every
man.
week. I'm like, oh man, we're at
Wait.
We're at an hour and 15 minutes. It's time to wrap this up. And I'm like, all right. And he goes, let me ask you a question.
Yo,
Yeah.
I also,
It's all the
I also
time.
want to shout out my boy Git for making me the personalized Mac
Damn.
McClung. You can't find these at Fanatics, Michael Rubin.
Damn.
You can't find these at Fanatics.
we don't know what kind of
And this isn't a
deals.
DHgate. This is the real. This is the real deal.
We don't know what kind of deals Jimmy's
Shout out
got
Mac
going with.
McClung.
When I
Dirk
got
G.
home the
Keep
other
that
day,
quiet.
the first thing my mom says to me is, Jim, why aren't the Sixers playing that poor boy that won the slam dunk contest? He can really help him out. And I'm like, Mom, I can't even.
That the other night.
Mom, I can't even explain this to you right now.
It doesn't work like that, Mom.
Dude, that was actually like fucked up from like a national perspective. Like
we brought in the ringer.
Yeah. I loved every minute of it.
Yeah.
We had our fun. We'll take, given that we've lost these championships, we'll take anything that we can
I'll
get,
take
man.
it. That was for Andre Iguodala, who got robbed from Nate Robinson.
We appreciate you, Mac McClung, and on
wearing
that
the
note,
same number 9 as Iguodala.
Yo, thank you to Tom, Federal Donuts.
Thank you to Jimmy.
We'll catch you guys
Thank
next
you,
time.
Thank you to Creative Outfit.
No more questions.
I was going to say something, but I realized it's not coming out until next week. So anyway,
See you guys.
Thank you.